Going everybody, just here today doing a recording on a job I'm doing. It's a valve cover gasket replacement for a 2001 Toyota MR2 Spyder. I can't seem to find a lot of videos on this, so I thought I'd went ahead, go ahead and share everything I went through to get this done. I'm going to try and make a series out of this. Any possible replacements or repairs I might do to this particular car, I want to throw out there if I can't find stuff for it, just to make it more available for the public and see if, anybody else has the same troubles. So anyways, so let's jump right into it. So first things first, we got to take off the crossbar. So we got one bolt over here on the one strut tower. This is a 14 millimeter. You got same thing on the other side, 14 millimeter. And then you got the two studs on the back. You got 14, 14. And then you should be able just to take the crossbar, kind of slide it up and out. That's out of the way. And then of course, next thing we got to take the cover off, the black cover if you have it. Most don't, I've noticed. But that's going to be a 10 millimeter on the back, 10 millimeter on the back again. And then some people have the studs that they screw into these sections here. I didn't have these on my car, so if you got them, I imagine they're 10. But so next part we're going to get done is we got to take the ignition coils off. So we've got 4 in total. I mean, I'd hope this is on a 1ZZ engine, so if you got something different, then good luck with that. But you've got 4 10 millimeter bolts on all the ignition coils. You're going to take those all out. I recommend not to take them all the way out yet because you're going to need to get these plugs off, and it's a little hard to try and hold this in place while you're pulling the connector off. So get the bolts broken off and then keep them on at least so you can squish these out. I had to squeeze the tab on one side and get a screwdriver and then kind of wedge it to pop it off. So that's those. We're going to take those guys out. All the connectors, the wires, they come into this little black rail here. We've got one 10 millimeter molt between the second and third ignition coil, and then there is one more behind the first. I'm not quite sure the firing order, but on this very last ignition coil here, we got one more bolt right there. That's also a 10 millimeter. So then we got all the ignition coils taken out here. We're just gonna have the empty wells. Now would be a good time to change your spark plugs if you haven't. Do all that good stuff. But for the valve cover job, next thing we're going to do, we're going to go in this back corner here. We got to get all the vacuum lines off. We got one bolt back here. That's a 10 millimeter bolt. It's just going to hold this bracket in place. We're going to lift the whole thing off that little stud. Opposite side of the engine by the oil filler cap right behind it. We've got one more bolt here. Same deal. It's just going to lift up over that stud. So then we're going to come up to the front here. We've got this hose. You got to take the clamp, pinch it back. We're going to slide that hose off, and then one more hose on the back here, same deal. We've got the connector, we're going to slowly slide that off. And that'll give us a chance to start working on these bolts down here to start getting the valve cover off. So my apologies everyone, I got a little ahead of myself. I went ahead and took the valve cover off already, but the bolts that I left off at are going to be on this back side here, and that one little spot between there, it's a 10 millimeter. You've got one more here. Sorry, there's a lot of focus. There we go. And this bolt is a really long stud. I needed a 12 millimeter deep socket to get this off. So have something for that. It is a little hard to get off. You're going to slide this bracket off for that vacuum line. There's one more valve cover bolt on here, 10 millimeters. You've got one more on the back side here as well. Another 10 millimeter here. One more here. One more there. And then this bolt here actually is a bracket that holds on the oil dipstick and another electrical line. So I went ahead and took that off. I think you can see it hanging down there. It just makes for easier getting back here. And mine was stuck on the block, so I had to get a screwdriver and put a paper towel between it and kind of wedge it in between these bolts on some of these edges here and wedge it up, and you'll feel it give. Oh, and before I forget, there is, since I have the valve cover off, you can't see it. Pardon the noise, sorry. There are 2 more bolts that are in the middle of the valve cover before you take it off. Those are also 10 millimeters. They are a bit longer, so even if you feel like you get it out, you're going to have to twist it a bit more and then pull it out. There will be a washer on each of them. You're going to replace, hopefully your kit came with a replacement washer for those because you need to replace those. So eventually, if you got a little antsy like me and you take it off, this is what you should end up with. And what we're here for is to get this gasket out. We're going to peel it out. Be careful, don't use metal tools to peel this out. You don't want to scratch the mating surface of the heads just because you could allow seepage. In my instance, I was doing this job because I had some oil in my spark plug wells, and looking on the outside of these, I did see some oil, so that's a good replacement.